My name is Lynn. I was from Vietnam. My life once felt complete. I was young, I was happy, and I was in love. I had a man who cared for me. His name was Ka. He was my first love, and I thought he would be my last. We laughed together every day. We made plans for our future. We spoke about marriage and children. I trusted him with all my heart, but life did not go as I hoped. One cold night, Kwa had an accident. He did not survive. I still remembered the sound of that phone call. My hands shook when I held the phone. I cried for days and nights. I felt like I lost my world. My family tried to help me, but nothing could bring back Ka. I thought my life was vanished. I thought I could never love again. Time passed. A year later, my friends told me to move. They said I should study or work abroad. They said it might help me heal. I did not want to leave, but my heart was too heavy in Vietnam. Every street reminded me of him. Every corner was full of memories. So I made a choice. I decided to go to Belgium. Belgium was far from home. It was not easy to move. I said goodbye to my parents and my younger sister. At the airport, my mother hugged me and whispered, "Be strong, my daughter." I smiled, but my eyes were wet. I carried one suitcase full of clothes, books, and memories. When I stepped onto the plane, I felt both afraid and hopeful. I did not know what waited for me. Life in Belgium was very different. The weather was cold, the streets were quiet, and the people spoke a language I did not know. At first I felt lonely. I missed my family, my food, my language. I worked hard to adjust. I went to language classes and found a small job in a shop. The days were long, but I tried to stay busy. At night I still cried for Ka. I missed his voice, his touch, his smile. I wondered if love could ever return to me. One morning, my boss asked me to join a new project. It was about software training. That was when I met Mark. He was from Belgium. He was tall with kind eyes. He was patient with me when I spoke slowly. He said, "Do not worry, you will learn." His smile was warm, and his words were soft. I felt safe when he spoke to me. At first, Mark was only a colleague. He helped me with my work. He explained rules. He showed me how to use new programs. He sometimes offered me coffee during breaks. I thanked him, but I kept my distance. I was afraid to open my heart. I still carried Ka inside me. I thought it was wrong to care for another man. But days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. Mark started to share more. He told me about his family. He spoke of his mother, who lived in a small town. He spoke of his dreams to travel to Asia one day. I listened quietly, but I enjoyed his stories. Slowly, I felt lighter. When I walked home after work, I sometimes smiled without reason. My heart was not as heavy as before. One evening, Mark asked me, "Do you want to join me for dinner?" I felt nervous. I said no at first, but later I agreed. We went to a small restaurant near the city center. The lights were soft and the food was warm. We spoke about music, books, and our childhood. I laughed for the first time in a long time. Mark looked at me and said, "Your smile is beautiful." I felt shy, but my heart beat faster. That night when I went home, I sat on my bed and thought about Kwa. I whispered his name. I felt guilt in my chest. I asked myself, is it wrong to smile with another man? Is it wrong to eat dinner with him? Tears came to my eyes. I loved Kwa, but he was gone. I could not bring him back. I closed my eyes and cried softly. In the next weeks, Mark and I met more often. We went for walks in the park. We shared coffee on cold mornings. He showed me old buildings and told me the history of Belgium. I told him about Vietnam, the rivers, the rice fields, and the food. He laughed when I described the smell of fish sauce. One day I will try it, he said. We both laughed. But inside me, there was a war. Part of me wanted to open my heart again. Another part of me said no. It said you cannot love again. You will betray Ka. I carried this question every day. Could love really happen twice? Could a broken heart heal? One winter day, snow covered the streets. Mark and I walked together. My hands were cold. He gave me his gloves. You need these more than me, he said. I looked at him. His face was calm. His eyes were gentle. My heart shook. I wanted to thank him, but no words came. I only whispered, thank you. That night I could not sleep. I kept thinking of Mark. I remembered his gloves, his smile, his care. I also remembered Koa's face, his laugh, his love. I felt like I was between two worlds. One was past, one was present. I asked myself, can I really move on? Or must I stay with the memory of the man I lost? As days passed, I started to notice more about Mark. He was kind but also strong. He worked hard. He cared about people. He once helped an old woman carry her bags in the snow. He once stayed late at work to help a new colleague. I saw his heart and it touched me, but the guilt inside me never left. I spoke to my friend Mai, who lived in France. She said, Lin Kuai's gone. You cannot live in the past forever. It is not betrayal to love again. It is life. Her words gave me courage. Mark asked me again, do you want to spend more time together? This time I said yes without fear. We started to meet often. We shared meals, books, and music. I began to feel something new. It was not the same as with Koa, but it was warm, real, and present. My heart felt alive again. Still, deep down I wondered, was this love, or was it just comfort? Could I truly love Mark the way I once loved Koa? These questions stayed with me, even as I walked beside Mark, even as I smiled at him. The story of my past was not finished, and the story of my present was only beginning. Before I continue my story, please subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. After some months, Mark and I were close. We were not only friends now, we spent time together. After work, we spoke on the phone at night. Sometimes he waited for me at the shop and walked me home. I felt safe. When he was near, I liked the sound of his laugh. I liked the way he cared. Mark soon told me about his past. He had been in a long relationship before. It had ended badly. He said he felt broken for a long time. He said he thought he could never trust again. I looked at him with surprise. His pain was different from mine, but I understood it. We were both trying to heal. We were both learning to open our hearts again. One weekend he took me to his mother's house. She lived in a small town outside the city. The house was simple but warm. His mother smiled at me. She welcomed me with tea and cake. She spoke slowly because she knew my language skills were not strong. I felt shy, but I was happy she was kind. Mark's mother asked me many questions. She wanted to know about my country, my family, and my life. I told her about Vietnam, about the river near my home, about the sound of the morning market. She listened with interest. She said, "You are far from home, but you are strong." Her words touched me. When we left the house, Mark held my hand for the first time. My heart beat fast. I wanted to pull away, but I did not. I let his hand stay in mine. It felt warm. It felt real. That night, I cried in my room. Not because I was sad, but because I felt both guilty and hopeful. As months passed, Mark wanted more from me. He wanted me to stay in Belgium forever. He wanted me to think of our future together, but I was not sure. My heart was still tied to the past. I also missed my family in Vietnam. I did not know if I could stay in a foreign land all my life. One evening, we sat in a cafe. Mark looked serious. He said, "Lynn, I want to talk. I want to know if we have a future. I want to know if you will stay with me." His words made me quiet. I did not answer at once. I looked at the table. I said, "Mark, I care for you, but I am not sure. My heart is still not free. My family is far. I feel lost." Mark sighed. His face looked sad. He said, "I understand, but it is hard for me. I want you in my life. I want you to choose me." His words made me tremble. I felt pressure. I wanted to please him, but I also wanted to be honest. After that night, things changed a little. Mark was still kind, but I could feel his worry. He wanted me to move faster. I was not ready. I needed more time. He began to ask questions like, "Do you still love Koa? And am I only second place in your heart?" His voice was soft, but his eyes were full of pain. I did not know what to say. The truth was I still loved Kwa. I would always love him, but I also cared for Mark. My heart was divided. I felt tired. I felt heavy. Later, Mark asked me to meet his friends. We went to a dinner party. His friends were nice, but I felt different. They spoke fast in their own language. I smiled, but I did not understand much. I felt like an outsider. Mark tried to help me, but I still felt alone. That night when we went home, I told him, "Mark, sometimes I feel I do not belong here. Your friends, your world. It is not mine. I am not sure if I can live this life forever." Mark was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "If you love me, you will try." His words cut deep. They were not angry, but they felt heavy. I asked myself if I was ready to give up my country, my family, my language for him. I did not know the answer. One morning, I received a letter from my parents. They told me my sister was going to get married soon. They wanted me to come back home for the wedding. I felt joy when I read it. But I also felt sad. I told Mark about it. He frowned. He said, "If you go back, will you return here, or will you stay there forever?" I told him I did not know. I wanted to see my family. I wanted to be part of my sister's big day. But I also knew that leaving Belgium, even for a short time, could break the bond with Mark. Mark grew more distant after that. He still met me, but he asked fewer questions. He smiled less. One evening he said, "Lynn, I am afraid. I am afraid you will leave me. I am afraid you will never give me your whole heart." I looked at him and felt tears in my eyes. I whispered, "I am afraid too." That night I lay in bed and thought of my life. On one side I saw my past love. Ka, he was gone, but his memory lived inside me. On the other side I saw Mark, who was real, alive, and waiting. I asked myself, can I let go of the past? Can I give my future to Mark? The answer did not come. The days grew colder. Winter returned. Snow fell again. I walked with Mark, but silence was often between us. He wanted more. I was not ready. My heart was split. Still, there was love in me. When I saw Mark laugh, I smiled. When I saw him sad, I wanted to hold him, but I also felt tired of the question inside me. Could love really happen twice? One evening, I looked at Mark and said, "I will go to Vietnam for my sister's wedding, but I will come back. I want to try. I want to see if we can have a future." Mark looked at me for a long time. Then he said, "I hope you're true." I left Belgium with a heavy heart. I kissed Mark goodbye at the airport. His eyes were full of hope and fear. My suitcase was full again, but this time, it was not only clothes, it was also the weight of choice, the question of love, and the fear of loss. When I arrived in Vietnam, my family was waiting for me at the airport. My mother hugged me and cried. My father smiled, but his eyes were wet. My sister laughed and held my hand. The house was full of voices, food, and love. I felt warm. I felt like a child again. During the days before the wedding, I helped my sister with clothes, flowers, and guests. We walked together in the market. We laughed at small things. For a while, I forgot my heavy heart. But every night when I lay in bed, I thought of Mark. I wondered if he was sleeping, if he was missing me, if he still trusted me. The wedding day came. My sister looked beautiful in her dress. My family danced, sang, and ate together. Everyone smiled. But I stood in the corner for a while. I looked at my sister and her husband. I thought about my past. I thought about Ka. He was gone, but his love was still alive in me. I thought about Mark. Waiting far away, I felt both joy and pain. After the wedding, my parents spoke to me. My mother asked, "Do you want to stay with us? We miss you. You can work here. You can live near us." My heart shook. I wanted to say yes. But then I remembered Mark, his eyes, his laugh, his care. I remembered how he gave me gloves in the snow. I remembered how he held my hand. That night I sat outside alone. The moon was bright, the air was warm. I thought about my life. I asked myself, again, can love happen twice? I thought about Ka. He was my first love, but he was gone. I thought about Mark. He was real. He was here, waiting for me. Slowly, I felt the answer in my heart. Love could not replace love, but love could live again. I spoke to my parents the next day. I said I will go back to Belgium. I will try to build a life there. I cannot promise forever, but I want to try. My mother looked sad, but she held my hand. She said, "Follow your heart. Lynn, we want you happy." When I returned to Belgium, Mark was waiting at the airport. His face looked tired, but when he saw me, his eyes grew bright. He came close and asked, "You came back?" I smiled softly and said, "Yes, I came back. I want to try." For a while, life felt better. We spent more time together. We went on small trips. We laughed. Again, I felt lighter, but soon the questions returned. Mark wanted promises. He wanted to know if I would stay in Belgium forever. He wanted to know if I would marry him one day. One evening, he looked at me and said, "Lynn, I love you. I want you in my life forever. I need to know if you feel the same." His eyes were full of hope. My heart was full of fear. I looked at him and whispered, "I care for you. I love you too. But my love is not the same as yours. I cannot forget my past. I cannot give all of me." Mark was silent. His face grew pale. He stood up and walked to the window. He said, "I am not enough for you. You still live with your past. I cannot fight a man who is not alive." His voice was quiet, but his words were sharp. My eyes filled with tears. That night, we did not speak much. Next days were heavy. Mark was kind but distant. I tried to reach him, but he pulled away. One afternoon, he told me, "Maybe we are not meant to be. Maybe we are too different." My heart broke again. I felt the same pain I had felt with Koa, but this time it was different. Mark was not gone. He was still here, but our love could not live. I left his home and walked in the snow. The streets were empty. The air was cold. My tears fell, but I kept walking. I whispered to myself, I tried to love again. But sometimes trying is not enough. In the weeks after, I lived alone. I worked, I studied, I spoke to my family on the phone. I thought about Mark often. I thought about his care, his laugh, his love. I missed him, but I also knew he wanted more than I could give. One evening, I sat in my small room and wrote in my diary. I wrote, "I have loved twice. First, I loved Ka. That love ended with death. Second, I loved Mark. That love ended with distance and difference. Both loves were real. Both loves taught me something. Both loves made me strong." I closed the diaries and looked at the window. Snow was falling again. I felt pain, but I also felt peace. I knew I had tried. I knew I had opened my heart again, even when I thought it was not possible. Love can happen twice, but it may not last forever. Love can heal, love can hurt, but love always teaches. I was not the same girl who left Vietnam. I was stronger now. I had loved, I had lost, but I had lived, and that was enough for